The world stopped cold on July 20th, 2025. The news of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's sudden death off the coast of Costa Rica was a punch to the gut. The legendary actor, known to millions as Theo Huxtable, was gone, and social media exploded with grief. Fans and co-stars alike shared their heartbreak, but one person remained completely silent: his wife. To most, she was invisible, a ghost in his life. Malcolm never named her, never walked a red carpet with her. Their love was a carefully guarded secret, a sacred world far from flashing cameras. They had a child, a quiet, simple life. But after his death, she said nothing. No posts, no statements, no interviews. Nothing. Until now. For the first time since Malcolm's passing, his wife has finally spoken. Not for fame, not for headlines, but because, in her own words, the silence had started to hurt more than the truth. And what she revealed wasn't just about that day on the beach. It was raw and real, a glimpse into the life they built, the weight Malcolm carried, and the secrets he kept hidden from the world. Her voice, sometimes shaky, told a story not just of grief, but of love, sacrifice, and the real Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the man behind the fame. The world thought it knew him, but she knew a version no one else ever saw. This is her truth, their story. And for the first time, we're seeing a side of Malcolm-Jamal Warner that was never on display until now. Their first meeting wasn't some Hollywood fairy tale. It was in a quiet Silver Lake bookstore, over a copy of Langston Hughes. Malcolm was in a faded hoodie, his glasses a little crooked. She recognized him instantly as America's older brother. But this was a different man. He was soft-spoken and deep. And when he saw her, it wasn't a celebrity encounter. After she dropped a book, he just raised an eyebrow and asked, "Langston or Lord?" That was it. A tiny, quick spark. A connection was born. After that, the meetups weren't by chance anymore. They'd get coffee, stroll through the park, and she'd realize he didn't care for the celebrity scene. He wanted to talk about music, poetry, and spirituality. And when she spoke, he really listened. He was locked in, and that felt like gold. Their love didn't need the world's validation. He asked for privacy, not to hide her, but to cherish her. He once told her, "This is the one part of my life the world doesn't get to touch." She understood. She respected it. So, for years, they stayed off the radar, a love wrapped in sanctuary and silence. To the public, he was the cool, confident Theo. But at home, she saw a different man, soft-spoken, thoughtful, and a little worn down. The industry had drained him. He didn't talk much about the darkness, but at night, pieces would spill out. Betrayals, being boxed in by roles, people wanting the TV version of him, not the real man. "There were times I wanted to disappear," he once whispered, his eyes locked on the ceiling. She never asked questions. She just listened. His home was his sanctuary, filled with incense, smooth jazz, and stacks of books. His biggest fear wasn't being forgotten in headlines, but in meaning. "I want my daughter to know who I really was," he'd say. "Not just who people thought I was." But there was so much joy, too. He'd dance in the kitchen, cry during movies, and sing lullabies to their daughter, even when she was long past needing them. The moment their daughter came into the world, he was speechless, overwhelmed by a love he never knew existed. They made a pact right then. No press releases, no baby pictures in glossy magazines, no talk shows. Just them, just their little world. He had been burned by the spotlight before, and this time, he wasn't playing that game. He wanted his daughter to have peace. He was willing to fight for it. So they raised her off the grid, and she never felt hidden, only protected. Their home was quiet on the outside, but inside, it was full of life, music, and laughter. They were each other's safe space, building something so sacred and solid that nobody would ever truly understand it until it was gone. That trip to Costa Rica was meant to be a break, a breather from the pressure and stress that had started to show on Malcolm's face. He'd been pushing himself too hard lately. They got there 2 days before everything changed. The beach was calm, the ocean a steady rhythm. Malcolm seemed lighter, freer. He danced barefoot with their daughter and cooked breakfast as sunlight poured in like liquid gold. "I needed this," he told her that first evening. But there was a shadow in his eyes she couldn't ignore. Something unspoken. It felt like a truth he still hadn't shared. Then came July 20th. They headed to the beach, and the water was calm. He looked so relaxed, his skin glowing like bronze. He held their daughter's hand as they waded into the shallows. And then everything changed in an instant. A strange shift in the waves, a scream, and their daughter's laughter turned into a cry. The current came fast, a hidden force no one saw coming. The ocean dragged him under in seconds. All she could do was stand there, helpless, watching the sea steal the man she loved. He came back, but only as a body, limp and cold. Strangers tried CPR. She dropped to her knees, whispering his name like a lifeline. But he was gone. In that moment, her world cracked forever. But there were things she never told the authorities, not because she was hiding anything, but because they didn't feel real. Not at the time. Just before he stepped into the water, he paused. He looked back at her with a long, quiet stare that felt deeper than a glance. His hand slipped slowly from hers, and in his eyes, she saw something that felt like knowing. Not fear, not panic, but a quiet understanding. She's replayed that moment 1,000 times, and still she can't shake it. Was that a goodbye he never spoke out loud? And there was one more thing. The night before he passed, she woke up around 3 a.m. and found him outside with a journal. "Writing down the stuff I haven't said yet," he'd said. After the accident, that journal was gone. Vanished. Maybe the ocean took it, or maybe he wanted it gone. She can't stop thinking about it because maybe, just maybe, he knew something. Maybe he was trying to say goodbye without saying goodbye. That very morning, he'd reached for her hand and squeezed it. "If anything ever happens to me," he said, "tell her who I really was." She laughed it off. "Don't say that," she told him, but he just kept his eyes on the ocean. "I know. Just if it ever does. Don't let them turn me into something I wasn't. Just tell the truth." At the time, she thought he meant it metaphorically about his career. But standing over his lifeless body, it all became clear. He wanted her to speak for him, to speak for the version of Malcolm-Jamal Warner the world never got to meet. There were parts of him he never shared, not in interviews, not during red carpets. She saw it in the quiet pauses at dinner, in the far-off look in his eyes, in the silent ache that clung to him no matter how much light he brought into the room. He felt like two different people. The Theo everyone remembered, and the complex, heavier man he had become. "I'm not sure they'd like the real version as much," he once told her. He had been carrying an invisible weight for decades, but in the year leading up to his death, a new weight had appeared. He'd been dealing with chest tightness on and off. He brushed it off as stress, but she begged him to see a doctor. He always promised, then changed the subject. After he passed, the official cause was drowning, but the doctors also noted something else, an irregular heart rhythm. It wasn't conclusive, but it was there, a quiet detail that made her wonder. Did something inside him already give out before the ocean ever touched him? She would never know for sure, but she knew he was carrying more than he ever let on. Secrets, quiet ones, heavy ones. And now, she was the only one left who could tell the truth. The days after his body was flown home were chaos. Reporters, phone calls, producers, and old co-stars all wanted a piece of him. But for 10 days, she shut it all down, vanished into a world of silence, curled up in his sweatshirt, wrapped in his scent. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. Grief sat heavy and crushing on her chest. People expected a polished statement, but she owed the world nothing. Malcolm had spent his life trying to protect their peace, not perform for an audience. He hated the circus. She was grieving her entire life, not just a legend. Her grief was for the man who scribbled love notes on sticky pads, who did wild voices for bedtime stories, and who treated making scrambled eggs like a sacred ritual. The moment it all changed caught her off guard. It was late, around 3 a.m. The house was dark. She was reaching for a phone charger in the nightstand when her fingers brushed against a wooden box. Malcolm's box. His vault, he used to joke, holding his deepest thoughts. She'd never opened it, but that night, something told her to lift the lid. Inside, in the middle of all his notes and scraps, was a letter. The envelope was simple, just 3 words. For you. Her hands shook as she unfolded the paper. I don't know when you'll read this, it began. Maybe soon, maybe never. But I needed to say it somewhere. You are the only truth I've ever known. You gave me peace when I was tired of pretending. If I go before you, don't protect me with silence. Tell the world who I really was, even the parts that weren't pretty. That's when she finally broke. A raw, breathless sob tore through her chest, and in that moment she knew. Malcolm asked her to do this. Silence wasn't protection anymore. It was a cage. When she finally sat down to speak, it wasn't for a TV special. No cameras, no lights, just a single voice recorder. She hit record and let it all out. People think they knew him, she began, her voice cracking. And maybe in some ways they did, but he was also scared and tired, and carrying a weight this world never gave him a place to put down. She spoke about his fears, of being forgotten, of being misunderstood. She revealed the health issues he kept quiet, the chest tightness and shortness of breath he'd avoid doctors for, and his haunting last words to her. I don't want to find out something I can't fix. Then she talked about that final day, the look he gave her, the stillness in his body before the waves even touched him. I don't know if it was just the ocean, she said. I really don't. Maybe it was the current. Maybe it was his heart. But whatever it was, it took the best part of me with it. Silence won't bring him back, she finished. But maybe the truth will finally let him rest. And with that, her truth was finally free. She hadn't been ready before, but now she finally understood that silence wasn't protection. It was a razor. Her final message is raw and clear. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was more than an actor. He was a father whose soft, steady hands built a world of safety. A husband whose quiet love held his family together. An artist whose soul reached far beyond the red carpets. His legacy isn't just in awards or old reruns. It lives in the people he loved, and the truth he never got to say out loud until now. Her final words are for anyone who has ever felt overlooked or misunderstood. This is for the ones carrying an invisible weight, for those living between what the world expects and who they really are. If this story hit you deep, if you felt something real, don't just scroll past. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. What did Malcolm's story mean to you? Share this with someone who needs to hear the truth behind the fame. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another powerful untold story. Thanks for watching and for helping us honor the real Malcolm-Jamal Warner. See you in the next video.